But I can tell you, I've never interviewed anybody who was part of the British intelligence.
I see. Well, I was part of the British, that is, the American intelligence was attached to the British.
Right. And how did that happen? Can you give me a little background as to, I know you were born in Nuremberg, you emigrated to the United States, enlisted in the Army, but how did you get into that position?
Well, like everything in the Army, they called me and said, "Here's your next job." No, I was in a replacement center in Bizerta after being transferred to Africa and attached to the British Army along with a whole unit of American intelligence, and we did what the British did. Interrogated German prisoners, mostly officers, major and up. We had a special camp near Algiers. How well you're acquainted with how American intelligence works, we just got these, picked the prisoners out of the camp, or they were shot down over the Gibraltar Straits, or we captured a ship captain, and they showed up at our place, and we talked to them. Well, that was, of course, considerably later. That wasn't part of the intelligence operation. That was the War Crimes Commission.
Got it.
We had two units. We had one in Mondorf, which was Luxembourg, where we kept the major amount of them, and we had a smaller unit in Spa in Belgium. In Spa was a castle, and it was the castle of the Kaiser Wilhelm of Germany and his wife after they resigned from the office, and he left Germany. He lived there. And that place became headquarters for Eisenhower and Montgomery and Bradley and I don't know who else. And when they left, when the Battle of the Bulge was over, we moved in. So we had that very lovely place, including Eisenhower's horses and tennis courts. Now, Ashcan was the aircraft unit, which called itself Ashcan, and they were part of the keeping of the prisoners. We had a resort hotel, and we kept all 20, actually it was 25, of the high Nazis there. But we also had Spa in Belgium, where we had Goering and Papen and Rundstedt, a handful of others. And we eventually transferred those to Mondorf.
Move aside. Pay attention, orders are in. Now listen up. You'll all be taken to different places of detention. The following prisoners will go to Bad Mondorf as defendants in future war crimes trials. Step forward. Field Marshal William Keitel. Grand Admiral Karl Dönitz. Colonel General Alfred Jodl. Follow me.
Okay, let's go. Move out, let's go. Over there. Line up over there. Come on, let's go.
Corporal, new arrivals, identify yourself.
Fritz Saukel,
Sir.
head of labor conscription.
Former head.
Julius Streicher,
Publisher of... Sir, I can't pronounce it.
Der Stürmer.
It's fifth.
You bankers are all Jews. You think I don't know that?
Shut up.
Hjalmar Horace Greeley Schacht, formerly president of the Reichsbank and minister of the economy. I do not understand why I have been accused here.
I'm your jailer, not your lawyer. You'll get your day in court.
Hans Fritschet.
Chief of radio operation in the Nazi propaganda ministry. Rudolf Hess, former deputy Fuhrer.
Yes. You,
Joachim von Ribbentrop.
Nazi foreign minister. You,
Colonel, this is Dr. Robert Lai, head of the German Labor Front.
you're Albert Speer?
Yes, sir.
What's wrong with this man?
His mind is not what it used to be.
He's an old drunk. It finally caught up with him.
I said shut up!
Colonel, this man, Stryker, is a disgusting person. A pornographer and a Jew baiter. I do not wish to be out with him.
We make no distinction.
Colonel, I respectfully protest our arrest. We were only following orders, nothing more. As a fellow soldier, surely you must understand.
Now you're no longer a soldier. You are all war criminals. All of you. Lock them up. These Nazi bastards. Where's Dory?
And so, where were you assigned?
All of those. Hermann Goering was not very well at the time that we had him. Well, I worked with him.
Okay.
He was, as you probably know, drug addicted and not in very happy frame of mind. Eventually, he got over it. You know, it takes a while to get over this addiction. When we had him in Spa, we talked to him, but it wasn't anything of any consequence, to be truthful.
Reichsmarshal Hermann Goering, at your service, sir.
You are in the United States Army stockade at Bad Mondorf. Did they tell you why you were here?
Because we lost the war, and I assumed we shot or hanged.
That's up to the court.
I've heard of this court. Its opinion does not concern me. The opinion of the German people, that is what really matters.
Is that so?
It is so. History will show that everything I did was for the greater German Reich. There will be statues of Hermann Goering all over Germany in 50 years. Little statues, perhaps, but one in every home.
You're as fat as a house. Starting right now, I'm putting you on a diet. You will be mentally and physically fit to stand trial.
Now, was your role acting as translator for the British intelligence officer?
No, we had an American officer and a British officer.
Oh.
Both majors, and both of them talked to them same as we did. We translated what they did, what they said, or we translated questionnaires that we're giving them, and that was passed along.
How did you feel doing this job, given your being Jewish? And here you knew what happened to your dad. How was your emotions during this time period?
You did your job. That's what you do in the Army. You're asked to do it, and you do it. Now, there were no emotions involved.
Yeah.
Von Papen was an older man, you know. He was Chancellor of Germany. He'd been sent as ambassador to Istanbul. He was in Istanbul. He was also involved in espionage. He was a very interesting, very good man to talk to. Well, I keep coming back to Von Papen because he was really the easiest to talk to in Mondorf. In Luxembourg, primarily, we did translation from German into English, or from English into German. And that was a totally different kind of an assignment. That was more a clerical one.
There, and you were acting as the translator. Then there would be, I assume, a transcript of it later. Did you have to proof that?
Let's say we had a morning conversation.
Oh.
I wrote a report on it.
Gotcha. Did you?
Most of that was a history lesson more than a political statement.
The prisoners were in custody. How were they treated? You know, as far as food, and were they abused at all, or were they taunted or anything like that?
No, nobody, none of our prisoners, nobody that ever we dealt with was hurt, tortured, talked to badly, or any such thing. In order to make people talk, we used the FBI method. You made them a promise, we treat you right. If you talk, and if you don't, we may have to turn you over to the French or to the Russians. From Luxembourg, we went to Oberursel, which is the European headquarters of intelligence near Frankfurt.
Okay.
That was the next spot. I had been to Nuremberg with my truck full of prisoners, and from there went to Oberursel.
Did you actually transport some of the prisoners?
Yeah, that was my job.
So, and you would transport them from where? From Luxembourg?
From Luxembourg to Nuremberg, yeah, to the jail.
Your name is called. Get your ass on the truck. Von Papen. Sure.
When we board the plane, get a seat by the window, dear boy. It may be the last view we have of the fatherland.
Alfred Jodl. Von Schirach. Olmar Schack. Rosenberg. Von Neurath. Frick. Sokol. Alfred Spear.
Our little truck, I drove my command car in back, and we had a guard company in front, and I handed them over to the sergeant of the guard.
Wow. Do you remember who was in that group?
All of them, all 24.
Wow.
In an ordinary truck with benches.
That's remarkable.
I got out of my command car. I said, "Here are your prisoners. I need a receipt." And he handed me a piece of paper written in pencil and said 24 live bodies.
Wow. Wow.
It was not quite as formal as you might suppose.
Well, caravan carrying the entire Nuremberg trial and the security part of that.
Well, I mean, we had guards with us with machine guns, and I carried a pistol. That's it.
How long a drive is it from Luxembourg to Nuremberg?
I would say maybe it was about 3 hours.
Did you feel some real sense of responsibility?
Of course.
Yeah.
God forbid something should happen and one of them got hurt or ran away or any such thing. Went perfectly smooth. Got in the Army in 1942. At the end of 1945, I had a girlfriend at home and I was ready to leave.
So you had enough points and off you went.
Yep. I had more points than you knew what to do with.
One of those rare individuals who touched a piece of history, who had first-hand connection with the members of the Third Reich.
Right. And you know, I wish I could tell you they were impressive. I mean, Goering was, after all, what? Vice president, right?
Yeah.
A very impressive individual, but not impressive.
Yeah.
Very depressed, very quiet. I doubt that he even said good morning.
Instead,
Said yes, yeah. He was in the Battle of the Bulge.
what do you think the legacy of this all is? Do you ever think about that?
I gave a lot of thought to that trial. If you were rounded enough, first of all, they were all in front of Jackson, who was Supreme Court Justice, and it was a complete trial, and it was published every day.
Did you have any, you would have not necessarily had any chance to interact with Robert Jackson or any of the prosecution, would you?
No, that was later.
Yeah. So you...
When I took him to Nuremberg, there was no trial in Nuremberg.
Yeah.
They would just put him in the jail.
Just honored to talk to the guy who was involved in actually the hand delivering of the prisoners from Luxembourg to Nuremberg, and those prisoners were then prosecuted by the guy that I founded the center after, Robert Jackson. This is remarkable.
Because here I was, kicked out of Germany, lost German citizenship, and here I was taking the bums who were responsible for all the problems in Germany and all of the rest of Europe, and brought them to trial. It occurred to me that maybe there is justice someplace after all.